Been a long time since the baseball season concluded, and yet baseball kind of continues 12 months a year. The winter meetings are now underway, and it is expected that there will be activity at these winter meetings. There has been very little until this point as far as trades, free agent signings, etc. McCown and Shannon with Dave Hodge, who's with us. Are you anticipating a busy winter meetings, or do you have any idea?
Well, others are, so I will say the same thing. We're waiting for, the big announcement. Aaron Judge, Justin Verlander, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts. I mean, there are big names out there. And already, though there hasn't been a lot of activity, the two major moves I think are most interesting, and that's Jose Abreu to Houston, making the Astros stronger, as if they need to be stronger. And the Jacob deGrom contract in Texas, our eyebrows raised the same as they did when the Rangers signed Seager and Semien, although we said at the time they needed pitching, and now they got pitching. They just need to keep him on the mound. In the last 2 years, Jacob deGrom has been on the injured list more than he has been on the Mets active roster. So 5 years at $185 million for a guy whose arm and shoulder can present problems.
Does that set the deGrom signing his contract? Does that set a new standard, a new bar, if you will?
I don't keep track of just when they get to a certain point, I say they're making a lot of money, too much money. I don't know if this is a record, but 5 years for do the math. 5 years at $185 million. That's a lot of money. Now, let's wait and see what Aaron Judge gets, and let's wait and see what Verlander gets. I know Verlander isn't looking for that much money, but he's not going to get 5 years, nor does he want 5 years. So if Verlander gets 3 years at 140,
wow,
that's crazy.
I'm amazed at that, because for some reason I had in the back of my mind that Verlander would be one of those guys now, David, that goes year by year. But that's too logical, I guess.
If you get him to do that,
yeah,
that'd be great. But no, he's going to get 3 years from somebody, and you keep hearing that the Blue Jays are one of the teams that are very interested in Justin Verlander. Well, they'd be competing at least with the New York Mets, who need to replace Jacob deGrom and others. So are the Jays ready to give Verlander 3 years at that much money, and basically then say they're done, because I don't think they could do anything more than that. But if they're out of the running for Verlander, then there are moves that they can and will or should make. So it's a question of, do you throw all the money at one pitcher who can, give you Verlander, Manoah, Gausman, Barrios with a question mark, and somebody else with a question mark? Some would suggest that Verlander, Manoah, and Gausman could be the best 1, 2, 3 in the majors if they're all at their best. And that's the argument for the Jays to say, let's go for it that way. But I don't think, even if they wanted to do that, I'm not sure that they would be able to sign Verlander.
Verlander is of an age where you start to worry about that. Do you not?
Yeah, except that if anybody was worried last year, he won the Cy Young, and he finally got over the hump in the postseason and won a World Series game. I think he gives up too many homers, but nobody minds, because they're often solo homers, because he doesn't have that many guys on base. But he's not going to get better. He's not going to get healthier. So, yeah, the clock is ticking. And what if you get 1 year out of him, and he does well, but it's not his best year ever, and then that's it. second or third year, you're paying for a guy who's hurt or a guy who is not what Justin Verlander used to be. I think it's a big risk for the Jays, and I think it's not a necessity for the Jays. I do think it comes down to that for the Mets. And, you know, especially if Judge leaves New York and the Mets are sitting there without deGrom and can say, well, we made the big move by signing Justin Verlander. So, but I mean, the Mets aren't the only team that is talking to him, and he's going to do well. He's going to do well somewhere. And he says he's interested in, you know, when anybody says, how about Toronto? He says, yes, he'd be very interested, would like to play for the Blue Jays. Well, why would he say anything else?
Of course.
I mean, what do you think? Does it make any sense?
Doesn't to me. I don't see paying that kind of money because you're talking something in the neighborhood of $35 to $40 million. deGrom got $37 million to sign a year. And there are very, very few players of that caliber economically in baseball today. Maybe deGrom is one of them. I don't know. I know that pitchers get a lot of money. But what is Judge going to get now? I mean, we were talking maybe he gets 40, but that seems a guarantee now, doesn't it?
Well, it sounds like he gets whatever he wants. I mean, it's, you know, the Yankees weren't going to pay beyond a certain figure. And now it looks like they're ready to do whatever it takes to keep him. He has eyes on San Francisco, and the Giants can spend money. It's going to be one or the other. I think. I don't think there's any other third team unless it's the Dodgers, because you always say, well, you can't rule out the Dodgers, but it looks like a Judge to the Giants, or he stays in New York. I mean, the Yankees haven't been in a World Series, never mind winning a World Series. They haven't been in a World Series in 13 years. And it doesn't look good if they let a guy who hit 62 home runs and broke a record leave town. I'm waiting. If he does leave, I'm waiting for the headline that says, Yankees in search of a new leadoff. I mean, that's because he batted first in the order and hit 62 home runs and drove in 131 and leadoff guy. Like, did we ever think when we watched baseball when we were younger that you'd put your slugger in the leadoff spot? I didn't.
Well, no, but the theory at least works for me that you get more at bats. You know, maybe it's 10 more at bats over the
He does
course
walk
of the
a
season.
lot. So
Yeah.
You want to pitch around him, you're putting the leadoff guy on at least in the first inning. No, I mean, it works for, you know, it worked for Schwarber in Philadelphia, with hit a pile of home runs. Springer, you know, a more prototypical leadoff guy because he can run fast, and but he doesn't, you know, Jays don't steal a lot anyway. But no, it's come to Julio Rodriguez again with great speed, but he leads off for Seattle. So a lot of teams do put their best hitter, their biggest slugger in the leadoff spot. I guess it must make some sense. And if he's not in the one spot, he is like the Blue Jays use Guerrero for a lot of the season in the two spot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it used to be. I used to think your best hitter hit third and your big slugger hit fourth.